Hi, I'm Stephen Hann from Archery Supplies, and I'm here to do a review on the Martin Condor VE. That's the Vegas Edition compound bow. It's new for 2015. It's a 40-inch bow, axle, shoots at 315 feet per second, a 7-inch brace height, so distance from there to there. Now this bow is for basically target shooting. It's a smooth bow built for indoor shooting. Now, one of the reasons I picked this bow to do a review on is I had a guy fly in from Victoria. Now, for people overseas, that's about 1,000 kilometres. So if you had to drive by car, 8 to 9 hour journey, and he flew in because he wanted to shoot all the different bows, and he wanted to shoot this and the Condor, which is that one. Now, difference between the Condor and the Condor VE, Vegas Edition. One's got the ghost cam, which is a cam and a half, and it shoots about 20 feet per second faster. Now the normal Condor is the bow you're normally going to shoot for target because it's a faster bow, and for target shooting you generally want a faster bow, and for 3D archery you want a faster bow. Now saying that, if the bow's smoother and doesn't produce as much energy, you can shoot a lighter weight arrow. Now the reason I chose the Vegas Edition to do a review on and to set up for myself, because I've been shooting a lot of bows this year and I was trying to decide what bow I was going to shoot, and I finally chose this bow to set up and shoot and to see how well I shoot with it. The main reason for that was I have lots of people phone and ask about bow tuning. They have problems with this, they have problems with that. And this bow it's got no cable guard, so the cables are either side, one set there and one set here. It's a twin cam, so you've got no timing issues as far as you've got no issue with one wheel sort of being out. And yes, if both cables were different, all you've got to do is twist them up and they are identical. But the thing is, these cams, because they're both the same, they're going to both produce the same amount of energy. With a cam and a half, you can tend to get a lump, and with certain bows, they tend to be a bit lumpy. They're very small cams on this bow, so they're not big. There's no limb stops on this bow, and I prefer limb stops on bows. But what really enticed me about this bow was I've got no cable guard, so I've got no cam lean, and I've got complete tunability. More tunability than any other bow made. Now, there's other things I liked about this bow. Now, I've fitted a string stop to the top, and you'll see on the video where I actually set this bow up. Down the bottom here, I've fitted the offset back stabilizer, so I like that thing. Down here, there's little spots on the riser, here and here, there and there. Now you can add weights to that. So you can add weights, these are stabilizer weights, and they just screw in. So if you're a barebow shooter or you're limited to competition, how many stabilizers you can shoot, you can just screw in weights to this bow to change how the bow feels, the performance, left to right lean. Now this is done on other bows. You'll see it done on the Win & Win recurve bow. They allow weights to be fitted to the riser for tunability. Same with this bow, and I like that function. Now, saying all this, there's things I think can be improved. I'd like a shoot-through riser, which they do on the other shoot-through bow system, which is OK Archery. They're twice the price of this bow. This bow sells for about $1,300 in Australia, $1,000 American dollars. The OK bow, I think, is about $2,500. So I like the fact this bow is half price. It's got two riser dampeners built in. The shock's minimal. This is a white paint finish. It's not anodized. It comes in blue or red. I like the white. You can color match it. I'm probably going to put yellow strings on to match up with bee stinger stabilizers. But I thought this bow, for me, for what I mainly do, I've got an 18 meter indoor range here. It enables me to do spot shooting, and I want to see what sort of score I can shoot with spots. Now when choosing a bow for indoor archery, there's a whole bunch you can choose. I own a Dominator, which is a fantastic bow from PSE. There's a PSE Supra, fantastic bow. The Matthews Conquest, just won Vegas, very impressive bow. The TRG from Matthews, very impressive, $2,000. Hoyt produced some bows, the Podium. However, in all those bows, they all have tuning. You can't tune those bows like you can tune this bow. This bow is completely tunable. And to me, it's something different. This is a unique patent system. Martin had it a few years ago. I've never owned one. So I was, this is basically the same price as the other ones. The Ghost Cam, which is what I said most people would choose, is cheaper by about $100. But I like the idea of a shoot-through system and see how I could actually shoot with this bow. So I'm going to show you setting up this bow for target archery, what I've done to it, and what you see here is the sort of semi-finished product. I'm going to change it again. But the real review of this bow is how it shoots and how well you can shoot with this bow for indoor. Now I don't shoot every day like I used to, so I don't pretend to be the world's greatest archer anymore, but I should still be able to shoot this bow pretty well. And this is off the shelf, bolt on the accessories, not paper tune the thing, just shoot it. And like I said, I'm not shooting much, but I expect to shoot pretty well with this. So I'm going to show you me setting up the accessories, and I'm still going to change it. I'm going to tell you things I changed later, just after I shoot it, and what I didn't like about this setup as the video progresses. So let's just jump to me setting up this bow, and then we'll jump to shooting the bow and how it shoots, and the things I'm going to now change to get this bow to how I want it to be for indoor archery. Okay, so hope you enjoy it. For doing indoor archery, this is the Condor Vegas. I'm going to shoot gold tip Velocity Pro arrows. These are pretty affordable, like $200 a dozen made up. I've fitted hyperspeed points to them. That's an Eastern point. I haven't used the gold tip point. Nothing wrong with the gold tip point, I just use these points. They're roughly about 200, so standard carbon arrow. I'm going to fit a string stop to the top. This is a PSE string stop. No real reason, I just kind of like the idea of it. So this just screws into the top, pulling up on the string. So when you're, a lot of archers are looking for a bow to shoot with fingers. This is one of the bows you can shoot with fingers, because it is long axle at 40 inches. And it's got a fairly small cam here. With bigger cams, my theory is that if you twist your fingers to the left, you actually torque the cam, and that's what causes the bows to derail. I get about 3 derails a week on bows, and it's always the same. I got my bow and it was like this. It came out of the box and it was derailed. I don't know what happened. The bow must have been broken, and no, what happened, you twisted your hand and caused the bow to derail when you drew the bow. This bow wouldn't be too bad. So if you remember to keep your hand upright as you're drawing back so it doesn't occur. Most derails are inexperienced archers. With the string stop on the PSE, so I've just tightened this up, and then I'm adjusting the position. You've got to use PSE user torque. And I just create a little gap. Now if I'm going to keep using this, string stop, I'll probably serve over here, but I won't for this example. I'm just leaving a little gap. You'll see a little gap between the string. People ask how much gap should there be. You can have a touch. If you have it touching, there's going to be more wear on the string. If you have a little further away, a little less gap. So I've got that. I'm happy with that. Now RRS, there's a whole bunch of RRS on the market, and I'm not here to do a review on any product in particular. I'm just setting up this Condor. The rest I picked is a Spot Hog Premier. Now the reason I picked this is I shoot it on most of my bows, and I've shot this rest since I was 14, 13, and I'm 45 now, so however many years that is. It's micro adjustment. You can adjust the spring tension. It comes with 3 arms. One's the 2 prongs. It comes with blades. Now the reason I picked this rest, the other rests I considered for indoor archery was a QAD, HTX. Comes in black. I just didn't want to load the shot. For each shot I wanted to keep thinking about shooting. And the reason I picked this bow is I wanted a smooth draw, so I always wanted to be able to aim at the gold. So it comes with blades, and it comes with the little thing. I actually like this one. This is I think they call it the golden finger. Now I'm shooting carbons. I'm actually going to use the one that comes with it, the twin carbon prong, because it seems to sit pretty good with a normal carbon. I tend to shoot the golden finger when I'm shooting narrow carbons, but this is going to be used for indoors, so I'm going to be using either standard carbon or fat carbon. So if I start to shoot pretty well, I don't know how well I'm going to shoot, but if I start to shoot okay, then I'll go to a proper indoor arrow, and I'll stick with this rest. Other rest to consider was the Apache by NAP. Pretty cool rest. It's a rising, drop away rest. The reason I didn't choose that, it requires more work to set up, so it would have taken me about 15 minutes to set it up. With this rest, it's basically set up pretty quick, so I'll just bolt this to the bow. Now one thing about the Martin, you've got 2 Allen key, 2 screw holes in the riser. Now I'm going to hope that I can fit 2 bolts into that position to lock it in place. You don't need to, one is sufficient. It's just, for me, I like the option of 2 positions because it basically can't come loose. Like my bows I keep forever, so I want to be able to set it up once, and that's basically it. I don't want stuff coming loose. So you'll see there I've got 2 bolt holes, so there is no way this rest can move. It's a nice feature. A lot of bow companies don't have the 2 positions, or if they do, they're too close and you can't get the 2 bolts in. But Martin obviously have got this perfect, and it's perfect for this arrow rest. So that's basically arrow rest bolted on. Now we just adjust it. With the Golden Premier, it's got micro adjustment left and right, up and down, but what I do is I first set this. It's got 2 little grub screws here. I just set that so it's right. You can use the micro adjustment later for tuning. So you loosen off the 2 bolts. Now I tend not to loosen off the bolts very much. I keep them sort of friction set. First thing as I do, I look for the alignment down the centre of the bow. And with the Martin, everything's down the centre. So the draw stops, all the holes in the riser, the string, the grip, everything's in a dead line. So I want my arrow to be in that dead straight line. which it is there. Now what I look for is I tend to have my prong at slightly under 45 degrees to encourage it to drop. And I tend to like, so with your Matthews TRG, the knocking point is dead in the center of the string. Now with this bow, the center of the string is basically the grip. With olden day bows, and still most bows on the market today, your center point of your bow is the grip line here. Matthews and a few other bow companies are moving it to the arrow to the center. Now the reason you have the arrow in the center of the string is the cams will come over at the same time together. So I try and drop my rest down as far as I can to minimize that position. You can't obviously have your rest down too far because you need vane clearance. Now I've got it on an angle like that, and I think I've got enough vane clearance there for a, or not. You can see there my vene's actually going to strike the bow if I had it this way. Now if I shot a different arm I would have vane clearance, but I've actually got to raise it up higher, or I'm going to actually, no, I've got to raise it up higher, the angle, which is a bit unfortunate, and it'd probably be something I would think about using a different vane than a blazer. It's just these are pre-made, so I could have that closer. It's not going to make much difference in this case. Let me try. I've locked that in. Now I want to get the arrow on the string at 90 degrees. I use a T-square for that. Now the way you use a T-square, it's got a line here. This is 90 degrees, the bottom, which is 0. I set it 1 point above that. The reason you do that is they found that if an arrow comes out dead straight, they have more accuracy if an arrow comes out in a slight direction, so that's slightly tail high. So people trying to get, that perfect tear through paper. I mean, people have done studies and done, professional shooters found if it comes out with a slight direction, the arrow is more likely to be consistent every time. I haven't done that much research on that. I find myself, it's more about the way I shoot. If I aim in the center, it goes in the center. So there's more variability in me than the bow. So I just tend to stick to the 1/8 above, which that pretty much is, so I don't have to adjust anything. So I've just got to fit a peep sight and fit a sight to it, and we're in business. And now I need to choose some stabilizers to fit on this bow. But I'll fit a sight to it, a sling, and we're in business. It is an Axel 3000. This sight I've had on my bows for, I think I've used it for a good old 10 years. Basically, this sight would be 10 years old. They still make it today, it's unchanged. And basically this bow sight is as good as new today, and it's about 10 years old. Everything's still tight, there's no movement at all in the sight. Excel make a good quality product. Most sight manufacturers are excellent. So even if you don't choose top of the range stuff, it's going to be fine for you. I choose top of the range just because I've been shooting forever and I use the same sight. Now the scope I've got on this is a cartel scope. It's not the greatest scope on the market. There is nothing wrong with it. The reason I chose this scope, it's cheap. It's got a drilled lens, so the bubble can't move. When I was shooting a competition once, I had a bubble there and it was raining. It was a state championship, and my bubble moved. And I don't know how many points I was ahead, but I was ahead by quite a bit. And my bubble moved down my scope, and it was pouring down with rain. And I had no I had no dot in the center of the scope. So after that, I always chose drilled lenses. Now, like I said, this isn't the greatest scope, and I tend not to use this scope. And if I end up keeping this bow and it shoots well, I will experiment with different types of scopes, and I'll go for a high quality scope, something like a Black Eagle, which has got crystal clear lens, and I'll experiment with different powers to see which power works best. But for this purpose of setting up this bow, this scope is fine. It's cheap, $45, and I'll shoot just as well with this scope as I will another one. But I will experiment with different scopes if I start to shoot okay. So we'll just screw this on. Now the question is, how do I know which position to mount this? And the answer is I don't know. Basically I'm just screwing it on, and you can adjust it once you sort of see how everything fits. Which got me, after I fit this, I started thinking about stabilizers, which stabilizers I'm going to use with this bow. Now, if you're new to archery, stabilizers are one of the greatest confusion points you're going to get with, choosing a bow is tough. But choosing stabilizers, man, there is so many on the market. There is so many different sizes, and the prices vary from $35 up to $300 and maybe more, just for a single stabilizer. Now, the first thing I'm going to say is, with the Carbon Tech bow I was shooting good scores with, the stabilizers were pretty cheap, but I was getting vibration through there. I was just using Korean stabilizers from Cartel, which are fine, and your accuracy is going to be the same, okay? But for this, I want to set it up, and I want to set it up so people can shoot it and have a good quality product, and hopefully I'll be competitive with this product. So I'm looking at stabilizers, and part of it's going, which stabilizer do I choose? Now, I've got a whole bunch to choose from, and I was looking at the Win and Win Ultimate Pro system because it's white. Highly technical, because I've got a white bow and I thought white stabilizers would be cool. Now, I'm looking at a bee stinger. Bee stingers are the most expensive stabilizer on the market, used by a whole bunch of pros, professional shooters. Now, are they going to improve your accuracy? No. I'm going to say, no, and people say, yes, it's a great stabilizer, and yes, it is. But it still gets back to the point that you've got to do a good shot for it to go in the center. This is not going to enable you to do a good shot. What it is a high quality product with a high price tag, and basically if you're a top shooter in the world, if you win tournaments you get paid to shoot one of these. They give you contingency money, so if you win they pay you so many $1,000 for a win, where stabilizers like Cartel and PSE stabilizers don't. So most of your professional archers will use a bee stinger. Now, there's lots of things which are good with bee stinger. They come in all different sizes. They come with a whole bunch of different coloured weights on the ends. This one's red, silver, orange, yellow. You can fit dampeners to the end of it. You can fit dampeners here to absorb more shock. They come in three styles of the Premier product. This is the honeycomb feature. Then they do a black one with a black end, and they do a black one with a silver end. Now, ideally, I would like a stabilizer company which does all different colours, so I can match my bow. But to me, this looks pretty cool. I'm going to keep the stabilizers, and I generally don't put expensive stabilizers on my bow, but I'm going to have a go at seeing how well I can shoot. Now, the size of the stabilizer that I select, the rule of thumb is the longer it is, the more stability you have. So in years gone by, people used to buy a biter stabilizer 50 inches long. Now the problem with the 50-inch stabilizer is it's a bit unwieldy. Like to rest the bow, it sort of sticks out a mile in front of the bow. If you're transporting the bow stabilizer and you're going to shoot, so you've got a 50-inch stabilizer to carry on a plane. Hard to carry on a plane. If you're shooting in wind, the 50-inch stabilizer obviously has issues. So when I was choosing a stabilizer, I normally shoot about 30 inches. I've gone for 33 this time, just as a sort of a point to start with. This is the Premier Plus stabilizer. I'm fitting a wrist sling. I really like the AA hot rod sling, so I'm fitting that to the bow. It's metal, the grip's nice product. Expensive, $30 for a sling, if you call that expensive. I do. Easy to adjust. I mean, most slings are fine, and honestly, a $10 sling would just be as good as I thought this is a nice quality product. So we're going to fit the stabilizer. Like so. Now, when you've got the front stabilizer, you'll see the bow tends to balance down. Now, what I need a stabilizer up here, basically to balance this bow up for me. Now, the rule of thumb on balancing a stabilizer, there's all formulas you can get to tell you how many weights you need at the front and how much you need at the back. But if the stabilizer is longer at the back, you need obviously less weights at the back. Now, the rule of thumb is if the bow is heavier, you're more stable. So you'll see a lot of the world's best archers are shooting these bows that are really heavy. Now I'm going back, I've been shooting forever, back to the days when bows were simple. There used to be a lady who used to shoot for Martin who held all the records. She'd win every shoot. I think her name was Katie. She was in lots of car accidents, so she stopped shooting because she was so busted up. But back then bows weren't very heavy, and she used to shoot perfect scores. Now, so for me, I don't want to go to a heavy bow for indoors just because I don't want to hurt my shoulders or anything. So to start with, I'm not going to add weights to this riser, but I may eventually, and I like the ability to be able to do that with this bow. So I'm going to take some weights off the front, I'm going to add them to I'm going to go for a 15-inch on the back so I can reduce the weight. I'm going to fit with it a Bee Stinger sidebar, which is really simple. Like, there are elite versions of this out there which are more expensive, but you don't need it, so keep it simple. Now with the Bee Stinger thing, you've got two positions here. I'm actually going to fit it more away from the bow and just sort of see how things go. I'm going to fit on the lower mount part here. If you can fit it to the top, but I like the lower mount part of the stabilizer. Part of the riser, lower hole. You'll hear the little ratchet system they have. That's to stop it coming loose. Now the rule of thumb is how much weight do you want on the side. You want to balance the bow. I'm just trying to clear this cable here. And I'm going to keep it pretty close to the bow. Now some people have a fair bit of angle there, and Rio Wild, world champion, his view is he's not balancing it so much. He's trying to create torque on the riser. He says it makes him more stable. But generally people are trying to balance the bow, so So I've screwed the back stabilizer on. I've cleared this cable here. And I'm just going to look when I sit the bow down, so this is sitting on the ground. The 33-inch stabilizer is a good height. It's not sticking the bow up too far for me. It's comfortable. And this stabilizer is really not getting in the way. It's good clearing my body. So I'm feeling pretty comfortable with that, with the kind of position of it. So all I've got to do now is add weight to this. And I'm going to grab a little bit of weight from the front of the stabilizer. They just unscrew. And then they screw onto the back. Now a lot of this is a bit of trial and error, and it's good to go into an archery shop and be able to try this stuff. But I'm going to try a 4-inch ounce on the back. Now this is a solid bar. It comes with a thread, which I don't need because there's already a thread there. So it just screws on like that. Now I check the balance. That's pretty good. Now I've got to watch that in the shot because this is coming really close to my arm here, so I may angle it down further. With the Elite V-Bar, you've got the ability to angle this down lower. This is the standard one, so this is low cost. So ideally I'd probably lower this down lower. But I'm pretty comfortable with this at the moment, and we're just going to have a shot to see how it goes, and see what the shock and vibration feels like of this bow. So I've got to fit a peep sight, and we're pretty much in business to go and have a shot and see how this thing shoots. Hi, so we're here to shoot we're here to shoot the Condor Vegas Edition. It's all set up with stabilizers. Now, I normally shoot a bow without stabilizers, but this thing shoots great, and I've actually set up the stabilizers on it, so I'm going to shoot it with stabilizers. Without stabilizers, the balance is about perfect. There's no shock in the hand, and you're just going to have to take my word for it, or go and shoot one. And the Ghost is the same. You shoot the 1.5 cam, it's basically the same as this. It's faster out the hand, and you'll probably prefer that. But let's just have a shot. And what you want to look for is the draw cycle and basically the shock after the shoot. With a lot of your Hoyts, they're not parallel limbs here, so you see a bit of a jump forward with a Hoyt when you shoot it. The Conquest will jump forward. The Matthews Conquest will jump forward in your hand. The Matthews TRG doesn't jump, and the PSE Dominators and Supras, they don't jump either because they've got the parallel limbs. So let's just have a shot with this. One thing I want to say with this bow, when you set it up, the string down the center of the grip, down the center of the bow, the sight pin is dead down the center. And if you could see the string straight down the center of the arrow and down the center of the sight, everything's in a line. Normally when you set up a bow, the sight, the scope, and the hunting sights are to the left, and that's due to cable guard, cam lean, and all those sorts of issues. This bow, because everything's in a line because of the split cable system, it's perfect. And this is why I prefer a cutaway riser here, so this bow could be shot left or right-handed. But it's a minor point, I'm right-handed, so it doesn't worry me a cutout riser, but you might as well have a cutout riser on this particular bow because it's the only bow that makes sense to have a cutaway riser on. So let's just have a shot. So the draw cycle, it's firm, 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 firm. Now I'm actually in the valley, but I don't feel the valley, and I'm actually in the valley and I don't feel it. So if I just let that down, this has no distinctive valley. And there is a valley, there's absolutely a valley, but I can't feel it, I don't know when I hit it. And it's not until I hit the wall where I can't draw any further I actually realise I'm in the valley. So this has probably got a 75% let off, but it feels probably like 50%. I don't really feel it. It's a very smooth valley. So when people normally talk about a smooth bow, they're talking about how quick their valley drops off. This is very smooth the entire way through. I don't feel the lump. I don't feel the build up in strength. I don't feel it dropping off in the valley. So, and that's the reason I picked this bow, because years ago when I used to shoot, so 20 odd years ago when I used to shoot competition, the wheels were basically big round wheels, and I used to shoot pretty decent scores with them. You know, not as good as people shoot today, but we used to shoot pretty good scores, and I shot records with them. So today I was looking for a bow which was very smooth to draw back. A bow where I can draw back, aiming at the gold, and the entire cycle of drawing I can aim at the gold. That's what I was looking for a bow. So I own a stack of bows, and most bows, as I'm drawing back and it's peaking, my hand's going up and down as I'm basically aiming until I get into that valley. As soon as I get the valley, the bow's dropping down. I've got to keep them moving my shot back into the gold. So with this bow, I want to aim at the gold the entire way through the cycle. So I get back, and when I'm in that valley, I'm already aiming at the gold. So it gives me more time in aiming in the gold, and it gets my mind more set on aiming. Because to shoot big scores, what you want to do is aim. You want to keep that pin in the gold for as long as possible. So let's just see how that works out. So once again, the grip on the Martin is very nice. It's a nice soft grip, this rubber sponge type of feeling. It's really comfortable. Now you'll see here, you've got the cables, and they run really close to my arm. They don't touch, and other people have shot my bow, the Condor, have had their hand touch the cables. I'm not sure if the draw length was too long for them, because they are kind of stretching, but for me it doesn't hit. It comes close, but it doesn't touch. And if I held my hand a different way, it definitely would touch. So, and it doesn't touch on the shot. So let's just aim. Now, the shot feels great after the shot. There's no vibration in the bow left over. I was thinking about fitting the bee stinger little rubber things on the end of these, because I thought they were pretty cool. And I was toying with them. They've got bee stinger, I've got detonators, which are rubber things which fit over the stabilizers. And I was thinking about those too, but shooting this thing, there's no vibration at all. The bow doesn't jump forward in my hand. It feels good to shoot. And I can basically aim the entire time. Now there's two things about this bow I don't like about my setup. I don't like the fact my veins, the odd veins pointing downwards, because I'm finding this vein is touching my face, where if I had it sitting the other way, these veins would be missing my face. So that's the first thing I've got to change. I've got to change the arrow rest from being the two prongs to a blade system, so I can change the angle of the arrows. And this cartel scope, I said when I fitted it, this is a cheap scope, and I'm fitting it just to see how it all goes. And it's blurry. I mean, that target, it's, you know, I can't even make out anything on the target. All I can see is a yellow blob. And I just put the pin in the center of the yellow blob. Now the world recurve champion from Korea, he's blind, so I imagine it's looking through this scope is exactly what he sees. It's just a mass of colours, and all I'm trying to do is put my pin in the centre. So there's no excuse for not hitting the centre. But the first thing I'm going to replace is this scope. I'm going to get a decent quality scope, and I'm going to go for a really high power this time. I normally shoot a low power scope because my brain is ticking over and going, I'm trying to aim in the centre, I'm struggling, I'm drifting all over the place, and you tend to get, people call it gold panic, and you thump your trigger, and you'll probably see I thump my trigger anyway, but I think I'm going to go for a really high powered scope to just so I can see the gold. Because I'm drawing back the entire time, all I want to see is gold in my scope. So I'm going to go for a really high quality scope, something like a Black Eagle scope, with a high power, and try that out for indoor. So basically I want to see the gold, and then I want to see the inner 10. So this scope goes, and this arrow rest is just going to be replaced with a blade. So it's the same arrow rest, just the blade fitting. So we're going to shoot this shot. Now, to me, that was a nice shot. My back tension was good. And that's what you want to concentrate on with target archery. You want to concentrate on yourself, your back tension, making a good shot. I don't want to think about the bow. And that's why I chose this bow. I don't want to think about, have I got timing issues? What's this bow like? I just want smooth. I want to draw back the entire time, be aiming the gold, and I am. As soon as I draw back, I'm centered in the gold. So as soon as I get my anchor position, my pin's on the gold. So I'm ready to take that shot straight away. So if I hold it for 3 seconds, I'm actually dead in the center for 3 seconds, so I've got more aiming time. So the first shot I had with this bow, which isn't on camera, I Robin Hooded the arrow. And then the next shot I took, I shot the vane off. But like I like this bow. I'm not at 18 meters. How's my groups? My groups are pretty good. Like, they're all in the gold. Most of them are in the 10. I haven't scored yet. But definitely I think I'll shoot a good score with this. And what I want to do is I want to compare my score on this bow to the PSE Dominator and see if my score's better or worse. And then I'd be really interested to take it outside and shoot long distance with it and see how it compares at like 70 meters or even 90 meters. But we'll just fire one more shot. You're looking for the vibration in the hand. So that's the Martin Condor VE Vegas Edition. Now, like I said, I had a person fly in from Victoria and he tried this. He tried the Ghost. He tried the Matthews Chill Pro, beautiful bow. The Matthews TRG, beautiful bow. The Dominator, the Super, and he tried all the bows in the shop. And what he said to me, because I said, which one do you prefer? Because he was buying one. I said, which one do you prefer? He's a finger shooter, he's world champion. I said, which one is the best bow? Now, he said, what you're doing is splitting hairs with all these bows, and they're all extremely good. And what you are doing is just splitting hairs, and often in my videos I get criticised because I'm going, oh, do I like this bow, don't I like this bow? All bows are excellent. And what you're doing is just splitting hairs. He's exactly right. What you're doing is this bow marginally better for these reasons? And like I said, this has got a weight system down here, which I can add weights to. I may never use it, but it's got the ability to add weights, and that's cool. And that's what I'm looking for with the top of the range bows. What's got the little edge over this versus that? The knocking point here is not dead in the center of the string like it is for the Matthews TRG. And I like the Matthews TRG because it's dead in the center. But I live with this because I know overall it's not going to make a lot of difference. And I do like the shoot through system. And the bow's significantly cheaper than the TRG. The TRG is probably a better bow. But for this, what I'm doing here, the spot shooting, and also the TRG is quite heavy. It's about 5.5 pounds. And for me, this bow's 4.5 pounds. I didn't want to add up that much weight too soon on the bow because I used to have a shoulder injury. So I was basically going to build into this bow and build into shooting. So I'll start off shooting a few arrows a day and gradually build it up and see what my scores are. See how I'm shooting with this bow, see how it all goes. I'll probably try fatter arrows to increase the scores. And with the Matthews TRG, the massive amount of weight and then adding stabilizers to it, I was afraid I was actually going to hurt my shoulder, but the TRG was a bow I definitely considered. But this bow, metal limb pockets here, metal limb pockets here. I just didn't see enough negatives with this bow, and the price point was good and it's unique. I've never shot a bow like this before, so this is the Condor. Now, the guy flew in from Victoria, and I've had quite a few people now flying from interstate to shoot all the different bows. He chose the Condor with the Ghost cam, and he phoned me up a couple of weeks later and he said, oh, Stephen, love the bow, your service is great, blah, 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 which is great. I love feedback. He said, this is the best bow I've ever shot, far better than any other bow, and I appreciate that. I like people's feedback. So he chose the Condor with the Ghost cams. It's a bit quicker than this bow. He did shoot this bow, and he was a finger shooter, and this bow is suitable for finger shooting because it's 40 inches axle, it doesn't have the huge let off that many bows have. So if you're a finger shooter, this is one bow to look at, and you've got the ability to weight the riser, which, depending on which classification you shoot in, you know, which allows stabilizers, some don't allow long stabilizers. The weighting of the weight on the stabilizer is going to, Adding weight to the bow is going to help you if you're a bare bow shooter. So it's the Matthews Condor and either the Ghost or the Vegas Edition. Check it out and go and have a shot. They're in stock now. Thank you.